I think I've dealt with that whole issue of when you talk about being a multi-potentialite or someone with multiple potential, you're like, are you a jack of all trade or a Jill of all trade? Can you really excel at everything? Is it really worth it? And sometimes they'll say, if you want to do something, why don't you just stick to one and let that thing go like very big, and then you can move to the next thing, then the next thing, instead of just doing so many things. And then there's the issue of, am I spreading myself too thinly? Or what if I had stuck to this thing 10 years ago with all my might and I did not deviate? Maybe I will be here. So I think it's even still something that I'm dealing with, and it's not like I have all the answers, but one thing I know is that I learn so much from other people's experiences, and I learn from their honest experiences, honest conversations, not the perspire to aspire to perspire and respire. The real, like, these are the challenges I've had, this is what I'm going through, this is what has worked. So I'm happy to be talking about this because it's something I deal with all the time. And I couldn't do the videos that I was asked to, but I put one together and it made me really reflect on my journey. If you see the last video that was shared on the social media of Motley Inspires, I took my time and I started thinking about, okay, so what do I really do? Where am I? My stage? Do I really do all these lovely things that they say that I do, or is this past glory and all of that? And I think I was able to break it down into like 3 things that I do. Essentially, in the media, I communicate. So whether it's writing, some of you would have followed some of my writing recently on Instagram, Becoming Mrs. A. Sometimes I also write for newspapers, magazines, so I write for organizations, and you won't see my name there. Other times I also speak. So I could speak at an event as a guest speaker, facilitator, or I could also speak as the compare, the master of ceremony, the moderator, the event anchor. And then other times, I speak on air, I broadcast. So you could catch me on the airwaves, one of my shows, either presenting or interviewing, or even off camera and off air, speaking to people, interviewing them as a journalist. So I find that covers communications, and the PR work I've done over time. I've done that in my professional career at Nestle, and at the same time, I still do that from time to time when I have people who say, oh, I need you to work on this PR strategy. So I've been able to put everything to do with communications, media relations, broadcasting, journalism under communication. Then I moved on to writing. No, not writing, sorry. So that is communication. The other thing I put on my video is teaching. So that's education. And I studied education with English and drama. And the heart of what I do, I passionately believe in education. And I sometimes have these conversations with my sister. My sister is like, "You're trying to teach me something, Abby. You just want me to understand this thing. Like, you should be a teacher." Then it's like, "Oh, you've actually been a teacher." And I say, "Yes, I've been a teacher." And I continue to use some of the content I create to teach. So whether it's my political show, you might just think you're watching an interview, but you're also learning, because there's an aspect where I put some kind of nugget of a new fact or some research that has been done that you'd be like, wait a minute, I didn't know about this. So I use my content to teach. I have taught in the classroom before, and I always look forward to opportunities online, physically, virtually, to facilitate either workshops for organizations or to organize bespoke training. So anything that has to do with educational content I'm creating for my company, or I'm creating on behalf of another company like Teach for Nigeria Radio School, which I hosted about 50 episodes and then handed over to the organization, and I'm just guiding them through. That involves me teaching on a daily, because I'm constantly, as a teacher, okay, where do you have issues here? Why don't you do this here? Coming up with ideas. It's collaborative. And then the last thing I put is cook. So some of you that follow me on WhatsApp status or Instagram, Facebook stories, you'll see that I put a lot of food out there. And the truth is that I did start cooking for a while. And then last year, during the lockdown, obviously, all of us were just cooking, cooking, cooking. Like nobody knew what was going to happen. And I started cooking more and experimenting. And then one day I was just like, you know what, I want to go to culinary school. And my fiance at the time, who is now my husband, was like, you're just looking for opportunities to shall leave the house and be going somewhere. And I was like, yes and no, but I enjoy this, so why not invest in like this hobby and all. And that's how I started my first culinary course, which was just 3 weeks and had to do with continental dishes. And then I went back to do the patisserie course where I started baking. And he was like, I'm waiting to hear the new thing that you want to do, because this is only going to last for some time. And I started baking. Then for a while I stopped baking. I was doing more of cooking, and then I stopped cooking. Ultimately I got busy with my other media work, and now I found myself cooking even more than I've cooked in a while, and this time I'm cooking to sell. So I feel okay, I can be a bit more confident in saying that I cook, because I'm not just cooking as a hobby anymore, but I'm actually, you could call me like a caterer, or my weight, or an alasi, as we'll say in Yoruba. So that cooks, I sell food in individual packs, and I sell food in trays. I don't know if I'm going to do this forever and ever, but it's something that definitely has come in handy at this stage of my life. So I was able to compartmentalize some of the many things I do into those three things, but it's a journey. If you had asked me this thing maybe 10 years ago, maybe I would only focus on the communication part and not the education, because I only went into the classroom in 2015. If you had asked me this in 2015, I'd have told you communication and education. And now in 2021, I'm adding cooking. Who knows what it will be in 2025? So I just thought it was important to just even give an overview of my own experience in dealing with my multi-potential. Do I sometimes feel like an imposter or a fraud, or do I really know what I'm doing? Absolutely. There are times when I'm like, hey, like when I started the cooking thing, funny story actually. I said I was going to cook for my wedding, and everybody thought I was mad and I was insane. And I was like, you guys, I might not be able to do all the cooking, but a day before the wedding, I'll make sure I put my friends through and prep some of the ingredients and make sure that my cooking brand, which has been registered as a company, is on hand to also cater for my wedding. And lo and behold, like almost 12 midnight of the wedding, I'm there mixing, milk and sugar and gelatin, trying to prepare some of the desserts down, giving my friend instructions till I had to leave the house to go to my friend's house where I was going to get ready from. And the day of the wedding, they had hired somebody who, through the help of a friend from culinary school, who came to do the serving, and he was wearing my branded shirts. My friends, came with the ingredients as I told them. They did stir fry, and they also did. We had tapioca-based desserts as well as panna cotta desserts, and some of it I ate, obviously. Some I didn't. If any of you are getting married, please eat, 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 eat. I can't sing it enough. Because next morning I was so hungry, and I was like, all this food, none. Like, how much did I eat? Very little. And then some of the dessert that was left in the fridge, my husband and I just started whacking this thing. Like, okay, so at least this one did not waste. So that was how the cooking thing started. Really, like, you say that the first foray into catering for a real event, like a wedding, which is my wedding, obviously, was last year December. Now fast forward to July, August, September, I've been cooking, and I have my page on Instagram where I advertise sometimes, and I put out things. And I was so scared when I was starting, because I was like, who's going to order from me? They're going to ask all these questions, but my sister just encouraged me. She's in the events industry, and said, go ahead. And I mentioned to another friend, I said, go ahead, people are going to order. And lo and behold, people have been ordering. Have I made mistakes along the way? Yes, sometimes I cook too much and then the food now wastes, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm throwing away all this money. Other times, you get feedback from the client like, oh, I prefer my soup a bit watery, or I prefer it like them with a bit more of this or that. So it's also a learning journey for me. But in everything, I think it has allowed me to explore my giftings. Like, the different parts of my life have allowed me to explore the different things I believe God has placed in me. And I believe you can't run away from maybe some of what we read in the Bible, like the stories in the Bible. And the one that really speaks to this situation, I believe, is the story about God giving talents. He gave talents to three people. He gave 3 talents to one servant, and the servant multiplied it, and it became 6 talents, right? He gave to another servant 2 talents, and then he multiplied it and became 4 talents. And he gave 1 talent, and that one decided, you know what, I'm going to go and dig it. I'm going to dig a hole and bury it in the ground. And later on, God was not happy and collected the talent and gave it to the one who had done one. Okay, I think it's 5-3-1. So 5 talents, 3 talents, and 1 talent. So not three. I don't remember what I said. So it's 5 talents, 3 talents, 1 talent. So the one who had 5 talents that became 10, ended up getting that one that was buried. And for me, I said, if it's 5 talents that I have, why will I not use all these 5 talents? Do I want, my talents, the one that I'm not using, let's say I have 5 and I only use 4 and I bury one of those 4. Do I want God to take that talent, dig it from where I've put it, and give it to somebody else? I think the lesson there for me is that the people that were given 5 or 3, they used all of the talents. They didn't do picking and choosing. They didn't say, oh, this one favors me, so I'm going to use this one. Because if they had done that, then what difference, and how different are they from the one who had that 1 talent? So I believe that, first of all, to whom much is given, much is required. If God has given you talent, or if you don't believe in God, if you've been born with multiple potential, then there should be a reason why all that potential is there. Is that potential there for you to just leave it to become dormant? Is that potential there for you to just ignore it? Then what happens? If you're a creative, you'll find that sometimes you have an idea like, oh my God, I have this huge, nice, what is idea that would change the world, and then you don't do anything about it. And it's literally like God just removed that idea and put it in somebody's head. And then you speak to somebody, might be years later, and you find out that that person also had that same idea. But the difference between you and that person is that that person has actually done something with that idea. And I feel like that just also mirrors that whole story about, having the multiple talents. That if somebody gives you something good and you don't use it, how do you know that other people too have not been given that same talent too, and that same idea? And somebody is the person who does something about it, the person who goes into execution, the person who goes into following it up, the person who invests in that talent or that gift or that potential that we now hear about. We don't hear about the 100 people who all have the same idea. And when I was reflecting on this whole webinar and the video I wanted to shoot before, I started thinking, where do you start from? And some people that will watch this video, they might be parents, and they might have children that are going in different directions. Sometimes if you grew up in Nigeria, you would have gone to secondary school here, and it's either you're in science class or you're in art class or you're in commercial class. And there are some subjects that science students only do and art students only do. I don't know who came up with that, because at a point I was an art student, but I preferred further maths to mathematics. And I was like, is there a way I can drop mathematics to do further maths? And it didn't make any sense, because I'm not even meant to be doing further maths. Other times it was like, oh, there's somebody in science class that is doing literature. And they're like, why are you doing literature? Why are you joining us arts people or doing government? But the truth is that when I went to university with a bunch of really smart people. Even me, I'll be like, hey, God, this Cambridge, like, this guy is so smart, this baby is so smart, they did this, they did that, and they're combining it with like so many different hobbies. You hear about somebody who maybe aced their exams but still found a way to do an expedition to Antarctica, or you hear about someone who, is studying engineering and just signed a music deal, like things that they don't naturally say should mix together, because you are science, you are arts, you are commercial. And I think it's important that if we allow our children, as parents or even as aunties, uncles, because sometimes parents will also come and consult you, like, see, this my child, oh, he cannot focus on one thing. Today wants to be a rapper, wants to be a footballer, but I want him to be a doctor. And there might be potential for all these different things, but I like how it has been broken down in this webinar that, the phases and how you explore your different giftings. It's not for you to now go and kill it. It's for you to nurture it. So I think that whoever is going to watch this video that is going to be in a place of parenting or guardianship or even just advisory, where someone is coming to tell you about their kids or their students, you can speak from an informed point that it's okay. There's nothing in this world that says somebody must be one thing, and you can be different things at different points of your life. And even today's careers require you to be multiple things. I'm not sure what Indayeng does, but I know that Nifemi has worked in marketing and communications. Nifemi has also worked in some form of ministry. Nifemi is also working in like that motivational, inspirational space. He's also working by doing these clarity sessions in education. So you can see how different paths are mixing. It's not one thing that Nifemi is doing, and these are the ones that he has exposed to us. Who knows, maybe Nifemi is even maybe he's into skits now, or he's maybe into sports, or he's into managing of talent or something. But when I look at all the different things he does, it's not one thing. If they had asked little Nifemi in school, what do you want to be? I'm not sure there would have been a word for this career that path he has chosen. I know my friend Captain, is based on the high seas, and sometimes he's on land, and he's a happy-go-lucky person and all. But I want to believe that, in this day and age, being a captain or, working in the maritime industry, you need not just knowledge of maybe engineering and, how to navigate the seas and all of that. But what about emotional intelligence? What about negotiation skills? What if you deal with pirates on the sea? What about security? What about how to protect yourself? Like, these things is no longer just being able to be a sailor and, okay, I can drive the ship and that's it, and that's the only skill I need. What about having to manage your crew? What happens when you're on land during the downtime and then you have to do like reconciliations? If this is a personal thing, then you're also involved in, say, the business side of things, and even I would even say that Apollo sometimes, strikes me as a chef, because I'll see some, mede. When you're in the abroad and you're craving pepper and indomie and fish and bokoto and everything, sometimes you find yourself, taking on a new skill. So I think it's something that all of us can relate with, that even if we're doing traditional careers, we're still finding ourselves expanding our roles to take on things that ordinarily our parents before wouldn't really have to deal with, or maybe our grandparents. When you think about the internet, you think about social media, you think about cybersecurity, you think about all these things that are now our realities that we're grappling with. We have to be almost like multi-potentialites in our approach to our jobs for us to even survive, let alone get ahead. Now, if you want to get ahead, you need to be able to do several things. You need to be adaptable. You need to have this open mind that it's not everything that they teach me in school that is going to work. Some of it might become redundant. Some of it I might have to unlearn, relearn, and some of it I might just have to totally scrap and learn new things. So some of us might have to do new careers, like I think about sportsmen and women, because my younger brother is pretty tall and we hope going to go into the NBA and he's going to play basketball and everything. But we all know that going into sports, you need to have like a plan B, plan C, plan D. Because what if you get injured? What if you don't get drafted? What if you just finish at college level, or you get drafted into the team and then you're always benched, and before you know it, you're better off playing overseas, and then there's a lifespan to that. Then what do you do for the rest of your life? So you're almost thinking about your second and your third and fourth career, because you might transit from being, a player to being a coach, then being an author, then being, maybe a commentator or a broadcaster and all. And I see this play out a lot in football, where you see players who, God knows that us that have support us now, we have a different kind of cardiovascular system, because it is all this player becoming coach that is now showing us Pepe. All the times we were saying Wenger out, Wenger out, Wenger out. May God forgive all of us. That time, top four, we just used to look at it anyhow. But now it's something else entirely. We're battling with a different kettle of fish that, we don't even have mouth again. So when you have those kind of situations, you're like, should this player have just gone straight to being a coach? I know Man U too, there was the whole Ryan Giggs, that one, he also transited to being a coach. But maybe Arteta might be better off being, a commentator somewhere, or just, minding his own business, or letting us at least have our dignity back again, because it's not funny, really. It's not. I just had to put it there, but obviously we know that maybe his coaching career might not go so far. So maybe someone like Arteta now is thinking about the tell-all book he's going to write, or how he's going to, find something for, maybe go to coaching school or something, So I think it's important that, we look at our multi-potentials when it comes to the different careers that we're going to do. I just want to go back to my notes. So identifying your multi-potential. So I was saying that before, I started this whole session, I was thinking about, okay, how do I approach it? And I think the first thing is to first of all look at the situation. So if I look at my life, which I've just done now, to say, okay, I communicate, I teach, and I cook. I've looked at it. Now I need to come to that place of acceptance that, Isabella, there's no one thing that you do. You are a gbogbo nishe. You are a multi-potentialite, or you are someone with multiple potential. And when I say gbogbo nishe, that's Yoruba for the one that does everything. Is this one you are there, this one you are there, this one you are there, and you have to come to that place of acceptance. You have to come to that place that you might not just be able to describe what you do in one word. Okay, I'm a doctor, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a captain. No, when people ask me what I do, I tell them every single thing, because you never know which one will help you. you really never know. For me, I remember having a conversation with Atim, who used to be colleagues with Nifemi and my husband at an event that I was doing PR for. And she asked me what I did. And I listed out like maybe 5 or 6 things. I'm a TV presenter, I'm a radio presenter, I'm a producer, I'm a voiceover artist, I'm a writer, I'm into modeling, I'm into teaching, I'm into PR, I'm into this. And out of everything, how will I even have known that the one that would have stuck with her was the voiceover one? Lo and behold, of all the things I do, and it's not like I do voiceovers all the time, but I still said it because who knows where it's going to lead. And where did it lead to? It led to a conversation of me sending my voiceover sample, seeing her at another event because she told me she works in a marketing communications agency and they're always looking for voiceover artists. So I saw her at another event and I said, Atim, how far? You've got to my voice. You are done back and forth. Any news, any job for me? Now, voiceover jobs in Nigeria, they start from like maybe $100. So it's not like it's not like it's the voiceover that pays rent, but it is still something. And she just told me that, see that guy over there, that is the creative director, go and talk to him. And I went there to go and talk to him about voiceover. And if you follow me on social media, you know that what started off as voiceover ended up in #love lockdown. And we're married today. And I'm not sure that I've got one voiceover job from Image and Time. I mean, I've gotten something, but I'm just saying that if I had held back in telling Atim all the different things because I wanted to appear as somebody that just did one big job, and I didn't say the voiceover one that maybe will bring me $50K, $100, how would I have had that opportunity of striking an honest conversation with the person who would eventually become my husband today? Because that was what I went to talk to him about at an event. I just said, I'm the one who sends voiceover. They said, you're the one who is the creative director. These are the other things that I do. But guy, don't think it's only voiceover I do. Again, me even talking about the different things that I do might have even made the whole conversation more interesting, because he would then know that, okay, it's not just this hungry voiceover artist looking for $50K that is disturbing me, but okay, if I can't give her a voiceover job, she's somebody that I think I should get to know, because she might come in handy, in doing something else for our company or for a client or that kind of thing. So it's really about accepting who you are, embracing it in its full, like being able to say, yes, it's okay. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not one thing, but I've worn different hats. And when you come to that place of embrace, of acceptance, then you know that it's now up to you to now develop it. All these gifts you have, they did not come fully processed. Even gold that we love so much, in its raw form, we don't like it. But when we process it, when we refine it, when we invest in it, when we take it through the fire, when it goes through, the process, then we can have something that is usable, something that is functional, something that is valuable. And I see our potential as that. For some people, as far back as 2009, 2010, I started writing for newspapers, writing for magazines, and it didn't start that easy, because in 2004, 2005, after secondary school, I told my mom that, I see that I do a lot of writing, and she invested in a writing course for me. And I started doing this writing course, distance learning, and getting better. Then started trying my hands out at writing readers' letters, reaching out to newspapers, magazines. And it took till about maybe 2008, 2009 for me to get my first column in a newspaper. I hadn't even finished uni then. I had just done my first year. I was on a gap year in Nigeria. And I became a columnist at Next 234, the big broadsheet newspaper. It was short-lived, but, I started interviewing people. I started writing book reviews. I started writing for the likes of True Love, This Day Style, TW Magazine. And literally people knew Isabella Akinsheye, that name, because that was my byline. I even used to put my initials there, Isabella E.C. Akinsheye, and even till now, 2021, the editor of True Love, Mrs. Bola Atta, she still recommended me for a writing editing job this year. So imagine if I had not invested in that talent through that writing course I did. Will I be in a position to, one, eat from the fruit of my labor as far back as 2008, 2009, 2010 as a contributor to newspapers and magazines, and I was getting paid then. And imagine now, 10 years later, or even more than 10, what am I saying? That's 11 years or 12 years later, I'm still getting recommendations that I've now worked with like an international organization on this same writing skills. And when she told me she was recommending me for a writing job, she said they are asking for my CV. And I started wondering, my CV care. My CV does not really have a writing aspect like that. My CV has, TV, radio, PR, Nestle, education. It doesn't have my writing, like it does no component of me as a writer like that. But there are places where I've contributed for this magazine, or I'm a freelance writer, or I'm the editor of NollySilverscreen.com. But do you know that when they saw my CV, my multi-potential CV, they loved it so much, they went back to tell her that, thank you for recommending her. We trust you because of your experience. And Mrs. Atab right now is, I think she's communications director, or she's in charge of communications at UBA, yeah. And she does Red TV, all those series you see online and everything. So this is somebody that they obviously respect her experience, that she has experience in magazine publishing, but she has transited to banking and in some form like entertainment, with Red TV at UBA. And somehow they still needed my CV just to be sure that, okay, all these lovely things this woman is saying about Isabella writing in 2009, 2010 is all like it all matches up. And they liked my CV as varied as it was. I thought I would have even needed to do a special CV for them, but it worked to my favor. And I think that is where embracing all of who you are comes in. That if these people really want me to be on their job, then let them understand what it is I bring to the table in its entirety. I don't just bring writing and editing and proofreading. I also bring presenting. I also bring media relations. I bring this, I bring that. Who knows if there were other series that were similar to mine, and maybe it's the extra things that were there that made them that tilted things into my favor. So I think there needs to come a place and time in your life where you just accept that, you know what, I have all these varied talents. I'm not just a one-directional person, and I'm not just going to keep quiet about it, but I'm going to invest my time. I'm going to invest my money. I'm going to invest my resources. I have my vision board out, and I'm looking at it now, and I can see that there are 2 trainings that are up there. Marie Folio is somebody that does a lot of writing, and she has a course called the Copy Cure, and it helps you with copywriting. And then I also wrote Masterclass. And Masterclass is a platform where you can actually sign up for different classes. So today you might feel like, okay, I want to learn cooking, so let me go and watch a cooking class. So today I want to learn communications, let me go and watch a communications class. But it's up there on my vision board because I know the importance of training. I know the importance of investing in your gift. So I think once you come to that place of acceptance and you move into, investing in the gift, the next thing is utilizing the gift. Some job opportunities or some careers will expect you to use more than one talent. And it's not for you to just say, okay, only going to use the minimum, because a lot of times to get ahead in the workplace, to get ahead in life in today's world, you can't just know one thing. You have to know multiple things, and you need to be valuable. Everybody talks about value add. What else am I bringing to the table? And I think when you have multi-potential, you can bring those extra things to the table that will end up setting you apart for even greater opportunities. So invest in it, yes. Accept it, yes. Embrace it, yes. But you also need to utilize it. Where the opportunity comes for you to utilize your multiple potential, use it. When I was in Nestle, that was my first main organization that I worked with as soon as I graduated from university. I also did my NYC there, which is, compulsory mandatory service for graduates in Nigeria. When I worked in Nestle, I didn't just say, okay, they hired me for communications. I was in corporate communications. So let me just stick to being the editor of the magazine. Let me just stick to doing my media relations, writing press releases. I put myself out there. I said, you know what? I also host events, because I had done that in a previous internship and I'd done that in the family business. And I took up opportunities in hosting some events. Like, okay, we're having a small event in the office. Who can do it? Isabella can do it. Okay, go ahead and handle this event. Maybe I did 1 or 2 events, but trust me, by the time, it wasn't part of my job description, but I know that by the time I left Nestle and I wanted to start standing on my own and saying, I'm an MC, I've done this, I've done that, I was able to at least refer to some of those experiences that I had in Nestle. So 1, I added value to the company because they weren't paying me, but they were getting, a free service. 2, I was also strengthening my skills. That's investing in the skill and putting it into practice. So I'd gone beyond, okay, I'm learning from others to actually implementing it. And 3, I was gathering experience where I could say, okay, I've done this, I've done that. And, much later on, I've gone back to even do, hosting of events for Nestle as not a Nestle staff, but as Isabella, which I got paid for. So you sometimes need to challenge yourself to find ways to use those gifts so they don't become dormant. After you have, it's like learning a language. After you have learned the language, if you don't speak the language, you will forget it. And once you forget it, it's like, why did you even bother spending all that money and time and energy in learning the language? I'm not sure what they speak in Estonia. I think it's the Estonian language or something like that. But I'm sure that, if you don't practice it and if you're not in that environment, or you don't find opportunities, even when maybe you're in Nigeria, to still keep that language going, you start becoming rusty. It's the same thing with our potential. So sometimes we might be in jobs that don't necessarily lend themselves to, I don't know why I say my internet is still okay. Now it's better now. I think the internet is back now. So sometimes we might not be in situations that immediately present an opportunity for us to use our gifts, but we now need to take the initiative in finding ways through value adding, through going the extra mile, through saying, okay, what else can I do for this organization? What else can I do for this client? And a lot of times what usually happens is, somebody will see me at one job and say, oh, Isabella, I like what you did with this job. When they bring me on board to work on the job, for example, I was hosting an event and the documentary that played, I'd worked on it, and they had mentioned it. Oh, Isabella also worked on this documentary. So someone in the audience said, oh, we also have a documentary coming up. Can you come and have a conversation? And I had a conversation with her and I told her, yes, I'll work on your documentary, but the timing is too short. So we'll just more or less edit it, put a voiceover. And then I said, oh, what do you want to use it for? She said she wants to use it for this women's event. And I said, excuse me, ma, I'm also an MC. You didn't call me to become an MC. You called me because of the documentary work. And she said, oh, usually we have 2 people do this, a man and a woman. And she told me the people, and these are people high up in the industry. And she said, this year, actually, the man is not going to be able to do 2 days, but we don't mind you being the woman, and we just need you to go and meet the man. He will talk to you, he'll put you through. And I went to visit him. He gave me notes, I took down notes. The first night, which was like the dinner party night, we went together, and he was more or less the only one emceeing. He brought me up on stage, towards the end, but I was just learning from him, enjoying, the whole experience, and almost like watching him and taking down my notes. And the next day, he wasn't able to make it. So guess who had to do the entire event? Me. So the night before, I only did a few words, and Baba was up there doing his thing. Now, to give you the context of the event we're talking about, this is somebody that I was brought in, me, just to handle documentary, and now I've found a way to say I do MC. That next day, former President Olusegun Obasanjo was there. So you can imagine the protocol. The guest speaker was the former president, female president of Mauritius. So you can see the level. I'm talking about 2 past presidents, 2 past African presidents, and that kind of thing, just to give somebody that you've only seen doing a small event and you brought it for documentary, showed a lot of faith that they had in me, but also because I had pushed myself and I said, what, I want to do this. So yeah, go and meet this person. I went to meet the person. Come on the first day. I came on the first day. Co-MC with him. I did that. And by the second day, I went up there. Even the former president of Mauritius, she said, come, let's take a selfie. We took pictures. And afterwards, we had not really discussed price, but the woman was so impressed with the event that she was the one that even said, more than what I was expecting, because usually it's a charity event and they don't normally pay. And those people who are doing it, they do it as part of their own way of giving back to the charity. But she paid me, and she paid well, because I did a good job. Now, imagine if I had not embraced that potential. Imagine if I had not volunteered myself. Imagine if I had not followed through with all the necessary actions it was going to take for me to do this. I wouldn't have had that opportunity. And by doing that kind of event, even if Buhari is in the audience, I've hosted events where, even in the north, where you have the vice president there, you have a governor there, you have, dignitary, all those kind of people. I'm not moved because I've done it before. But would I have had that opportunity? No, if I had not put myself forward. So I think there comes that place where, or that time and place where you have to decide that you constantly find outlets for your different potential, even if they don't present itself. I wanted to go into teaching a lot, after I left the classroom. And I remember reaching out to an organization and I said, I'd like to facilitate, one of your sessions. And the organization was like, almost like, okay, so what have you done? Which organizations have you worked for? Can I see what you've done? And in my mind, I was a bit taken aback, like, what do you mean? Do you know who I am? Do you know my background and everything? But it was a valid point. It was almost like, we're not going to give you, people to train when you don't really have as much, opportunity, as much evidence showing that you're a facilitator and a trainer. So I now had to start thinking about, okay, so what can I do to build up my reputation as a trainer, as a facilitator? I started taking up volunteer opportunities. They'll reach out to me. Can you come and speak at this event? I will do it. Then I created my own course and I advertised it. I launched it. And then, I got people to sign up. And that way, I've already built experience using other people's platforms, but also doing a course that I was the one who came up with it. I was the one who followed up with it. And it was a paid course. And then this year, someone recommended me for a training and they just called me from the organization, a media organization, like, would you like to come and facilitate this training, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. Let me have the dates. And I went ahead to facilitate the training. So that was because somebody recommended me. So see how it was. The year before, I was more or less sending an application to be a trainer, and it's almost like you could say I'm begging, like, oh, CEO, I have this opportunity, I can do this for you. The next year, because I've applied myself, and the person probably
Isabella, I think your audio is out.
Yes, I think, Isabella, we lost you. We lost you.
Yeah, it's slowly coming back, but it's very faint.
It's very faint.
It's
Hey,
better
okay, so
now. We
what
can
I'm
hear
going
you.
to, okay, because I'm looking at my microphone and it's going green, green, green. Okay, so basically now I've now been able to create a niche for myself that I've done something about that desire to nurture that potential I have, which is in training. I've gone ahead to create a course. I've gone ahead to do other and facilitate other people's courses. Even by coming here to do this clarity session, if somebody calls and says, "Oh, can you do something?" I can easily say to the link and see what I did for Monthly Inspires, or see what I did for Punch Media Organization, and see what I did. And you know that the last training, when I was talking about training a media organization, they later reached out to me to come and moderate a conversation, like a virtual event. And for me, I was like, if I had not done that training, they might not have seen me in action. Now that they've seen me in action, I'm now one of the first people coming to mind for an MC job that ordinarily they might have considered somebody else for. And that was how they reached out to me. I did the job. I gave them my prize. They're like, it's too much. We're charity. We're made this, that. I was like, okay, fine. And I did such a good job that their ogas and madams, that's their bosses, were so impressed that they decided to even add to my money. I was like, oh, that's nice. Thank you. But again, it just goes back to, applying yourself and using your gifts, and not just saying, oh, I'm going to hoard this gift till I'm 50 or I'm 40, or I hold this gift till I look the part or I sound the part. Or like in this day and age, for the kind of work I do, social media numbers are huge. Like, people want to work with people who have 1 million followers, 1.5 million followers. And Nifemi, who has worked in marketing communications, knows how important those metrics are. I barely have 6,000 followers on Instagram, but what do? I keep doing what I'm doing so that when it comes to my craft, people will still remember me. And it's by putting myself out there. It's by taking up opportunities, about exploring other potential, so that when they put me next to the person that has 1.5 million followers, I might not be able to compete with my 6K, but the other skills I bring to the table might be what will separate me and will now result in me getting the job, even though I don't have the followers. But that is now me taking the initiative to explore my multiple gifts. Now, when they talk about knowing when and how to prioritize, to be honest, I think if a job allows you to go above and beyond, for you to add the value add, for you to add that extra, take it up. If it's speaking that is your thing, or if it's dancing that's your thing, or if it's management that is your thing, and you're in an office situation, volunteer for certain roles, volunteer to do certain things. It might cost you 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It might come with more responsibility, but those opportunities might not always present themselves. You might not always have the opportunity to show the other skills that you have. And if you don't use those skills, you cannot strengthen them, you cannot develop them. So I think when you have the opportunity to show or to display or to make use of your other giftings, you should take them. Now, when when it now becomes too much, how do you step back? How do you now say, okay, which one am I doing the most, and which one am I putting to the side? I think sometimes you can only answer those those questions based on the situation you are in life. And I will say that from a personal place, from a place of experience. When I was working full time, say in Nestle, I had a salary coming in every month. So I could dedicate as much time towards my website, nollysilverscreen.com. I could dedicate as much time towards journalism, towards hosting red carpet events, towards doing all these other things that require money. But I was able to, develop myself as a presenter, as a journalist, as a writer. I was able to do that because I had income coming in. So I could prioritize, those things I loved doing on the side. At a point, I was even doing graphic design. I was even designing my own magazine and all of that. Now, when I left my job to become a teacher, I was still getting money coming in. So I was still able to do those things, but maybe not to the degree and the extent while I was in Nestle. Then I now left my teaching job to become a full-time entrepreneur. Please, my bank statement that will help me prioritize the giftings I need to do. Because for me to even explore my gifts well, I need to be well fed. I need the lights on. I need my bills to be paid. I need to be able to clothe myself. So sometimes I think common sense and where you are in life would determine when you can prioritize those gifts. Now, imagine how I would be if I was a married woman with maybe 4 children. Then I now say I want to prioritize a gifting that costs me money to invest in. I'm spending money on renewing the internet website, the hosting fees. I'm spending money on hiring writers, hiring graphic designers, paying the webmaster, running social media ads, spending time, doing the interviews, writing the questions, doing the blogging. And no money is really coming from that. Is that not foolishness? Is that not the height of irresponsibility when I know that I have 4 children that are dependent on me, that they did not ask me to come to this world, and that is the time that I now decide I want to go and prioritize a gifting that is not helping me remain responsible to my family and to the commitment. Same thing with when you're in a full-time job. If you're in a full-time job and you see that your other gifting that you like is now taking you out of the office, maybe you're a musician, you have an important deadline, you did not finish your job, but you know that you want to go on tour, and then you're going to cost the company maybe that account. That's the height of irresponsibility. That is you not prioritizing your gifts then. If you know that that gift is so important to you, then you should not be costing another man or woman their business. You should not be using other people's time to be exploring giftings that do not help the business that you signed up to, that they are paying you. So I think in some cases where you are in life, if you are young with no responsibilities, by all means, you can decide to burn the midnight candle from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. I'm working on this app. Then you resume in the office at 7 a.m. and you give to, how they say, give to Caesar what is Caesar, give to God what is God. You give to your employer what is your employer, you give to your passion, your different potential what is their own. But when you now have responsibilities, or you are trying to pay for school fees, or you're trying to migrate to Canada and you need the money to be complete, or you have to take care of a debilitating health issue, then you know that you need to prioritize the one that is paying your bills, and those other ones will have to suffer. So sometimes I think these individual circumstances that you are in will even help you, if you are a responsible person, determine which of the talents you should use. Use the primary talents that are serving the primary goals, and then the secondary talent should be developed and utilized in secondary timing, but not using secondary timing secondary goals in primary timing. It does not help anybody. One, you will not move ahead in your job. You won't move ahead in your side hustle. Both of them will suffer. You might end up not doing so well in the job that they might ask you to leave, or you might just end up, so disillusioned there that you leave. And once you leave, that money that was coming in that you were using to invest in the other thing that was going slowly has dried up, and you now see how much this thing is costing you, and you now close that one down, and it's like you're back to square one. So I think there's a need for common sense, and also just making sure that at every stage of your life you see what is important. And the truth is that if there are things you really want to do, you can put them in your vision board. They can be on your 5-year plan, they can be on your 3-year plan, they can be on your 2-year plan. One of the things I want to do is I want to host a game show. I've created a game show in the past, and I've started working on another one again. But I know that I can't afford, the pilots now. I can't afford to go and market it. I can't afford to build the kind of set I want. I've not totally forgotten about it. I've put it aside. But I know that as I'm making money from the primary talents that I have, sometime in the future, I will be able to explore this thing. But what can I do in the meantime now, so that that thing is not totally, or that part of my vision or that part of my talent is not totally, abandoned? What I've started doing is I've started watching a lot of game shows again, just to keep that interest there, just to make me also refine my own game show idea, to see, oh, look at what the market is doing. Is there still a place for the kind of game show I'm bringing in? Okay, what can I learn from these other people? How can I tweak this? How can I tweak that? I've also started working on a game, like a board game as well. I don't have the money to go to China and print the board game, but it's on my vision board, because I'm like, Isabella, you might not have the money yet because you thought you were going to win a pitch competition and use that money to print the game, but you can actually complete the game, so that if Father Christmas came today and said, what do you want? You can give a complete game. You don't have to say, oh, I thought it was when the money comes that I'll finish it. So it's right now on my vision board. I've not done as much, but it's there saying, you know what, if you're really serious about this thing, go ahead and complete it. Put your money where your mouth is, make the necessary inquiries, and be ready for that opportunity. And that's like that story in the Bible about, the 10 virgins with oil, and the ones who had extra oil and they were waiting for the bridegroom. And then the ones who did not have extra oil, the bridegroom came in the middle of the night, and then they didn't have any oil for their lamp, so they couldn't go. But the ones that did, meaning the ones that prepared, the ones who were ready, the ones who had their complete document, their complete game, those are the ones that got the funding. That's the way I interpret it. So there are still things you can do, even to nurture those giftings or those potentials or those dreams, even while you're in a place of waiting, so that when that time eventually comes, you are ready. And then when you talk about making use of all your life experiences, which is the penultimate thing on, the aims of this webinar, so we'll soon be coming to an end for Q&A, is the fact that something didn't work out well does not mean that it's not valuable. The fact that you tried using one potential and you got negative feedback, or you lost money, or the company folded up, does not mean that it cannot enrich your life processes, or it cannot enrich your journey, or even help you in understanding the place and season that you are in. So when I go on my LinkedIn, and I started doing that a bit more, and I posted an article recently talking about some experiences on screen, and he now told me share to my page. So I was like, which page is he telling me to share to? And also he now says share to Quill and Scroll Creatives. Now, Quill and Scroll Creatives is a company that I set up over 10 years ago. And I did the whole pain of, what was it called? CAC. I did a nice logo design. I loved the way it sounded, Quill and Scroll creatives. But the issue I had was that at that time I was dating someone else, and us that we love. I had to go and say, okay, oh, if not married me, oh, we have not signed anything, but let's go and enter this business together. And anytime I tried to, get this who is now my ex-boyfriend, off the company, because obviously our visions have changed and we're no longer together, and it wasn't like he was so interested in running the business. At that time, because you can't set up a company in just one name, you need a second person. So I decided to close the company and set up a new one. So what's the lesson that I've learned? I've learned that if I'm going to set up a company, there's one relative I know that is not based on love or no love. So the next company I set it up with my mother, because no matter what happens, my mother will always be my mother. I cannot break up with my mother. She cannot unmother me. I can't unmother or undaughter me. I can't unmother her. So I've learned that, you know what, even if I'm going to set up a company and it's going to be with a significant other, is it not better for me to wait till I'm married? Because then that person has more stake in it than just with a boyfriend that you don't know. At that time, the love will be giving you gish like that. But at the end of the day, it can disappear. But so that experience, just looking at Quill and Scroll Creatives, as much as I'm upset about the fact that I set up this company then and the money just wasted, I've taken that life experience to help me in when I'm setting up my next company, which I didn't make the same mistake with, which is one I set up with my mom, and another one, my food business, I've set up with my husband. So I think it's the same thing when it comes to your different life experiences. So many times we feel like it's only the good experiences that make us, but even the not so good experiences also help us, to prepare for the future. I've given you an example of a life experience that somebody would only look at negatively. But the truth is that it has helped me in my future businesses, because I've gone ahead to set up Yellow Tamarind Productions and Onjele, which is my food company. Another thing with utilizing life experiences is that it's not all the experiences in life that have to be your own life experiences. There's a reason why you're at this session. There's a reason why you buy books. There's a reason why you attend conferences. There's a reason why you speak to people. You have friends. It's because you also want to learn from their own experiences as well. So if you can get, front view of somebody's life experience, e.g., you have your Jeff Bezos, you have your what's his name now, Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, you have your Aliko Dangotes. You can also go and learn from their experience. You must not experience everything before you use it as a life experience. You can look at how they use their multi-potentials. Because when you look at some of the richest people or the wealthiest people in this world, it's not one thing that they did. They might be known for Microsoft and everything, but do you know what they did with the money in Microsoft, how they invested it and how it has given them money? Think about someone like Oprah. People like Oprah because of her TV show, but Oprah is making some of her money from real estate. Or Rihanna, we knew her as a musician, but she makes so much money from her, cosmetics, her beauty, all of that. So I believe that in that case, someone like Rihanna, she was like, I'm not singing for a while, I'm taking a break. But I'm not taking a break from exploring my other potential. I'm a woman of color. Maybe she had struggled with, getting the kind of products she needed. And she decided that, my interest in this beauty, cosmetics, making money and everything will go beyond just, endorsing a perfume or putting my name to a fragrance. And she decided to go ahead to explore that other potential of her, her interest in beauty and cosmetics, and look at how much she's making. A lot of Rihanna's wealth does not even come from music, but comes from the cosmetics. She might have wanted to do that in her days of active music performances, but time did not allow her. commitment to the record label did not allow her, or maybe she was not at that stage. But look at it now. She has taken the time out of that and she has moved on to the next stage. Like the way our brother Ateta has moved on to the next stage from playing to coaching. So, she now is at that stage where she's doing her cosmetics and is making her a lot of money. Who knows what she's going to do next? So I think we can learn from our own life experiences, the ones that worked out well, the ones that didn't work out well. So for example, I really love to present on TV and I love presenting on radio. For a while, it was like I was doing a lot of TV work. Then I started saying, oh, I want to do radio, I want to do radio. And this year, I'm hosting Searchlight, and I also hosted Teach for Nigeria Radio School. So I've done quite a bit of radio work, but I've not done any TV work this year. But usually I would say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go and do another season of Africana Literati, which is my own production. But I've done Africana Literati for 4 seasons now, and it has been a struggle. Sometimes I get sponsorship and it's so small. Other times I get advertisements and it's very limiting, very limited, because you first of all pay DSTV, then you wait for the agency to give you the money, and then by that time they take their discounts and you're left with peanuts, literally. So except somebody is giving you, like, I'm going to give you 4 adverts or 8 adverts every episode for 13 episodes before you can begin to see real money. So what I've been doing is I will make money from other sources and I will invest in my TV productions. Also in the past, I had a distributor who helped me to get some foreign, deals in terms of licensing, and then I also licensed to a foreign channel. But now there's so much content out there. People have so much at their disposal, which means a lot of platform owners don't have to pay as much as they did, and a lot of them are also going into content production. So it is so competitive. So I've had to step back and say, you know what, as much as I want to be on TV, as much as I want to present, I also have to look at the realities of the market. People are coming out of COVID-19, where pandemic, where budgets were slashed, where there was a lot of uncertainty, where businesses had to tighten the belts. How feasible is it for me to get advertisement? How feasible is it for me to get sponsorship for an educational program when in a country like Nigeria, the biggest TV show is Big Brother, and that's not an educational show? Yet me, I want to come and compete with people that are sailing ships and crashing ships and having shipwrecks inside and outside the house. I now want to come and learn about African literature. Like, who am I deceiving? So I've had to take a step back and say, no, I don't have the money for Africana Literati. And normally it would be a case of, oh, you're giving up. No, I'm not giving up. I'm also being sensible that look at the business. Can we afford to continue producing Africana Literati at this point? No, we cannot. So what does that mean? I've started looking at grants. I've applied to 1 grant. I'm waiting to hear from them. Last year, I applied to a pitch competition. I did not win. So sometimes it might mean you changing your strategy. It might mean you going to hone other potential skills you have to have the money to now go and further develop, these other skills. Think about sportsmen and women. They spend so much money on training, on coaches. It's an investment. Like, if you decide you want to be the next Serena Williams, do you know how much you're going to be spending on just training, on your kit, on your gear and everything? If you know you cannot afford that, it's fine. Then you move to another thing, work on it, and then you come back to it. Or you accept that you're not going to be Serena, but you might be, the local Serena of Ikorodu, and that's also fine. And from Ikorodu, you can graduate to Lagos and then graduate to Nigeria. It might take you a longer time based on your life experiences. So I think it's really important that sometimes you come to that stage where a particular gift you want to explore, you don't have the resources to explore it, and you take a break from exploring it. You can't kill yourself, and you explore the other ones that you can and come back to it. that is also very fine. Nobody says that everything must be done at the same time. It comes to the place of, understanding the life and the seasons. If you are someone who is in secondary school, or university, you have time at your disposal. You're different from someone who is, a parent who is taking care of children. Once those children grow up, go to boarding house or go to university, you have your life back again, and you can do some of those things that you were not able to do before. So who says that you can't wait out for some things just to attend to the primary things that are in front of you? And the final thing is exploring all your giftings. I think it would really be like a tragedy if you have several gifts and you don't explore them. You don't give each of them a chance to breathe, a chance to flourish in its own season. It's a tragedy because there are so many people who are out there that just even want one of your talents, just one. So I can say that, oh, what have I achieved? I only have 6,000 followers. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have any, big TV show to my name. I've not signed a big endorsement. I've not done this. I've not done that. But there are some people who will see me, and the fact alone that maybe I went to Cambridge is huge for them. Or the fact alone that I've worked for, certain companies is huge for them. So for those people, if I don't explore that talent, it's like I'm being ungrateful. It's like, if you don't want it, Kukuma give me. Yes, God, go and take that talent from that person and give it to me, because I know what I will do with it. So I think the most anybody can do for themselves is to give each talent they have an opportunity to bloom and flourish. It might bloom and flourish, and you might see that for this season, do I really need to focus on this talent, or is this something that I will revisit, or is this something that I will come back to? I see Atim. I spoke about Atim earlier on in this session. Hello, Atim. And I will use Atim as an example because I followed Afrolems for many years, and Afrolems has evolved from being a blog to actually content creation, to being in the movie. And I was so super excited because I went to Red Dish, and I know Afrolems, and recently she came and she updated us as to her absence for a while from social media, and she's now an executive chef. Woo-hoo! And she also mentioned that she did mentoring. These are so many potentials. Like, this is a blogger, this is a writer, this is somebody that I know has personally worked as a restaurant, what is the word now? I wanted to say critic, but not critic. Someone that works with restaurants. I remember the title. And now it has culminated into her becoming an executive chef. And who knows what she's going to do tomorrow? Maybe she's going to go on MasterChef and represent Nigeria or something. But I feel like each and every one of these giftings or expressions of her potential that has been expressed, she does not know who she's touching. She does not know who she's reaching out to. If she had just said, okay, I'm just going to stick to the blogging. Like now she said she does mentoring, and I've reached out to her and said, I want some mentoring as well, because I've just started taking my business seriously and all. So I think that if Atim did not explore all the gifts, and Atim, I'm not picking on you, I've spoken about everybody here that I know. I've spoken about Apollo, who is the captain, and Ifemi that I know personally. If she didn't do it, I wouldn't even have known that, there are these opportunities for me to even benefit from her. From the mentoring, for example, all I need to do is slide into her DM and ask her a question. All I need to do is go and check her social media or go back to her blog. So for me, if I knew Atim had all these things and she was not using all of them, I would personally go and meet God that, come, but this your daughter that doesn't want to explore all her talents. Please, can you give me that talent and let me use it? So I believe that we all need to explore our giftings. it might come at different times. 1 minute she's working as a restaurant consultant. That's the word I was looking for, or the phrase. Another minute she is in the restaurant as an executive chef, and the kind of insight she will have now as an executive chef is different from when she was just creating recipes and putting them out on social media and working with brands to develop their culinary offerings. Like now, some brands are out there working with bloggers and saying, this is our product. I know you're used to eating it as cereal, but you can eat it as stir fry, you can eat it as this and that. So all those opportunities won't have come. So I think it's important that we all explore our giftings, because we never know which one will make a room for us. We never know which one will give birth to another one, or which one will even serve us for the purpose that we are in at this time. So that's where I am when it comes to my own giftings, that at each point in time, what can I bring in from my armory or from my arsenal? Can I bring in my communication skills? Can I bring in my teaching skills? Can I bring in my cooking skills? So now when I'm creating content for my social media page, I'm using my communication skills to create copy for my content. I'm combining both of them. I'm not just saying, oh, I'm Alasi and I'm dishing food, or yeah, come and pick up your food as caterer, but I'm also creating content on my social media. I'm creating reels as well. So that's a combination of the different giftings I have, even though it's primarily serving one gift.